Hello and welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. This is Brendan, your host for the show. Joining me to look back on a relatively comfortable 2-0 win over Fulham at home. Go around the room. First up, it's Gibbo. How you doing, mate?
Yep, sound, mate. Happy that we're top of the league again, but not entirely happy with the performance, to be fair, mate. But we'll get into it in a minute. I don't want to be all negative, but there's some little bits tonight I weren't that happy with.
Yeah, it's great. We're top of the league and we're still finding ways to moan. This is Spurs for us. Also joining is HG. How you doing, HG?
I thought I was going to be the negative one, but I think Gibbo's ahead of me. So I will be the positive voice of good tonight. We weren't great, but we won. We're top of the league. We won.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
I thought it was anyway. We'll get to also joining is he's got a brand new mic and he's testing it out. Is Seb? How you doing, Seb?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'll be the voice of reason then, because there was good and bad as there are in most games. Thought it pretty evened itself out. Last half an hour was a little bit of a bore fest, but if you look at the players that were on at the end, maybe a little bit to be expected. But overall, like you say, top of the league, kind of done without even getting a sweat on, really. So yeah, all good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So also we are obviously live on YouTube. So if you're watching, thank you for joining us and please do give us a like. It always helps. And pop in your comments. And if they're decent, they'll get stuck up. So let's crack into it. We'll start off as we usually do by looking at the lineup. So I should have the slides ready already, but let's get them up now anyway. So the oh, thank you. Did someone do that for me? There we go. So the only real change from the lineup, Gibbo, was the fact that Bissouma is obviously suspended, and Højbjerg came in. It was obviously not like for like, but did you understand that change, or would you have gone for someone else?
No, mate, I would have put Højbjerg in there. I actually like Højbjerg, don't I? Like, people who watch YouTube a lot will know that I think he's a decent player, better than everybody gives him credit for. And I thought he'd come in. I thought he did all right tonight. But yeah, I thought he'd come in. I thought the team would probably be pretty much the same, apart from Bissouma. Obviously, Højbjerg doesn't give you that sort of athleticism and drive that Bissouma has. But yeah, that I wouldn't have made any other changes bar that, really, mate. So quite happy.
HG, what did you make of the change? One thing, we'll get into the game, but Sarr looking like he picked up a knock is a bit of a worry, bearing in mind that him and Bissouma have struck a really good partnership in the centre of the midfield.
Yeah, we had a couple of people go off with hopefully small injuries, but again, when you're 2-0 up at that point, you hope that it was more precaution than anything else. But when it came to the first 11, I thought Johnson would start over Richarlison, if only for the fact that Johnson started at the Emirates. And I had an impression then that Johnson was considered part of what Ange wanted to do. He played on the left-hand side in that game with Richarlison. And to be fair, Richarlison did okay. But yeah, the first 11 does kind of pick itself. We've got a few options that we can do, but it appears right now that with Bissouma suspended and Perisic injured, actually Ange kind of knows the 11 or 12 that he's going to play. And the squad members right now are really kind of on the fringe.
Let's get into the game. Seb, relatively bright start, I thought. There was a very early chance for Son, I think it was, which Leno did well to keep out with his legs. But what were your thoughts on the first 15 and the sort of general state of play at the beginning?
Well, as I said with previous games, I like the way we play. So even though there were no goals, it was enjoyable to watch. I just some of the movement I thought was very good. Some of the little one-touch passing was very good. The box midfield I liked, and Højbjerg came into that, and I thought, look, part of it. I didn't think he stood out in terms of some of the things that levelled at him, the backwards passing and the playing it safe option. I thought he was. Looked to play forward. Thought we carried good momentum. Just a shame that we couldn't score early. But I thought it was okay. The only thing that worried me was messaging on the Patreon Slack chat that we have is that Fulham's tactic to me seemed to be to win the ball, and whenever they won it, to get it out wide and then to literally switch with the next pass. And I think it's a tactic that we're going to have to look out for when we push both our fullbacks quite high, as we know that we do. Particularly one seems to be a lot higher than the other. If they can win the ball and then switch the play, you're going to catch that other fullback out of position. And Fulham did that quite a lot, I felt. Udogie and Porro we're just getting caught. And I think that's where Fulham's big first chance came from.
Well, the first chance that was it. I mean, the opening exchanges, Gibbo, were I thought we were bossing it. Certainly possession wise, we had a few free kicks around the area that Maddison. We tried a sort of smart one. He went for goal, but Fulham very, very nearly scored from that corner, and it took a superb save from Big Vic to keep it level, and because it would come out of nowhere. I think that was their first attempt on goal.
Yeah, I thought we started off quite bright, and then they came back into it a little bit, didn't they? For a small period. But that was a great save. Did they give a free kick? Because obviously they keep going back to the save. Did they give a free kick against Paulinho, or was it class? You know what I mean? Was it a foul and then he made the save? And we were raving about the save, or was it an
corner? Wasn't it?
Because I thought on the telly they said it was a free kick.
No, I think it would have counted.
I thought they'd give a free kick for something after he made the save. Yeah. Well, anyway, it was a great save. It was a decent header. He sort of brushed off Kulusevski, didn't he? And then, great save. Really big, strong hand. And then was it Højbjerg cleared the ball after that? But yeah, it was a decent header, good chance, and we sort of got out of jail a bit there with a great save from the keeper.
Yeah, well, HG, we did have a few chances, I think, in that half. There was one for Richarlison that went wide. He should have done better. He did try and place it. Leno was wrong-footed. And we did eventually get that goal from Sonny. Talk us through what your thoughts were. Was it more a Fulham mistake? I thought was it obviously good for Richarlison to get an assist, and that finish, you knew where it was going to go.
I feel like we had a few half chances in the lead up to that goal where we snatched at them. Maddison had one where he snatched at it. Son had a wild swing from just outside the box. And finally, Son got the opportunity to kind of take his time. And once he has time on the outside of the box, he's going to find the corner. He's done that so many times. But yeah, we can't forget the fact it did come from a Fulham mistake. And so, yeah, it's great that we took advantage and we went in 1-0 up, and we probably should have gone in 2-0 up. But let's be honest, in that first half, we had all the ball. But Fulham probably had the best chance before that goal when Vicario made that save. It was frustrating. I thought that Spurs were quite sloppy in the first half, despite having all the ball, despite looking decent at winning the ball back high up the pitch and doing, it looked like an Ange team, but the decisions weren't there. And we haven't figured out exactly how to do it best, which sounds crazy because we're top and we're to be top. But, when Ange talks about his teams having issues early on, I actually think we're seeing those issues. We're just not being punished for them.
Do you agree with that, Seb?
I think that's absolutely spot on. Yeah. I thought that we as I said, the first 15 minutes, I was quite happy. I felt like when we went in the lead, I think it's too easy to say, we kind of relaxed into it and almost relaxed too much, but I don't really know how else to describe it. Obviously, the chance that Kulusevski had when he was played in by Romero, and he decided not to shoot for God knows what reason, and pull the ball back. How we didn't even get a shot at goal in that phase of play, I don't know. And it just seemed like HG said, little bit sloppy, little bit kind of almost like we were cruising. You weren't cruising. You're never cruising at 1-0. You're barely cruising at 2-0. So, it was there were already little signs, and I think we've all kind of said now and all agree with each other that I think Ange there will be a lot of frustration despite the result. Just a little bit, just not quite at it. We could have punished Fulham a lot more, as HG said, should have been 2-0 up at half time, and then as it goes into the second half. Again, just didn't seem to kind of really turn the gas on. I do wonder whether it has anything to do with playing Friday as well, whether there's a little bit of thought. Obviously, that rolls into the substitution choices and things like that. But whether there's a little thought of just kind of conserve your energy a little bit, but certainly at 1-0 in the first half, it shouldn't have been that thinking. We had opportunities to just make better, faster decisions, and we didn't quite do it.
Just a quick shout out. Thank you very much for the super chat here from Jeff Ramos. And has made history, coach reaching 23 points in 9 games. I think also it's the best ever start to a new manager. I think. Well, do you know these stats at all, Gibbo? The sort of stats that a host should know. And
mate, I saw something come up on the screen, and they said there was 3 managers. Ange Postecoglou, and Mike Walker was one of them. Like on the amount of, was that Norwich? Yeah, Mike Walker. Who was the other one?
They showed
Hiddink.
Yeah. It's a good stat. It's a good stat to start off with. We need it to continue, don't we? Because we want trophies and points more than like them sorts of stats. But yeah, it's a great stat. Great for Ange. Fans all love him, don't they? He's had, and if we can just, I don't think we were great tonight. And I think I agree with what the lads both said, but we just need to carry on. And if we can keep getting wins, obviously that's what we need. But yeah, I thought we were quite sloppy at the start of the second half. I don't know if the boys agree down below, but I thought we were really sloppy. Passes. We had about 3 or 4 times where we sort of give the ball away, won it back, and then give it away again. And there was lots of stuff like that going on in the second half. I mean, Bren, you said before we come on, there was even that time where the ball went out to Richarlison and he just sort of let it hit his back or something, and then he lost it. And there was quite a lot of that going on.
Yeah, Ange didn't look
frustrating,
happy.
Really frustrating.
Sorry, yeah. Ange didn't look happy with that at all when he tried to control it with his back, the showboating. Look, again, it didn't work either. He lost the ball, so Ange was annoyed. But do you agree with that, HG, about the second half that we started a bit sloppy? I think as we dominated the ball so much in the first half, I think Fulham were obviously going to want the ball more. They made some halftime changes, brought on Iwobi and Raul Jimenez, I think, were the 2 that came on at halftime. What were your thoughts at the beginning of the second half then?
I don't remember too much before we scored, if I'm honest. I don't feel like Fulham were ever great. I don't feel like Fulham ever did too much. So they had a little bit more threat because they worked a bit harder and they tried to get the ball more. I feel in the first half they were quite happy to sit and allow us to try and play around them. They were, they didn't want us going through the middle because they knew that's where we were going to hurt them. And Spurs really didn't do too much in the first half to hurt Fulham, I didn't think. It was that silly mistake from Bassi that we took advantage of. And in the second half, Fulham, when they decided to go at us, and we've seen that a few times, teams that have really tried to go at Spurs have had a bit of luck. Yes, it's made them a bit less solid at the back, and we have the quality to take advantage. But I don't feel like Spurs are yet the team where you need to play 10 behind the ball at every opportunity, and that's what Fulham did tonight. So I'm happy that they felt the need to do that because it gave us an opportunity to play with the ball. But it's still, the second half was similar to the first half until we got the second, and then with the second, we made a few substitutions, and it was, to me, it was quite boring to watch. I was kind of waiting for it to finish so we could do this.
I don't know. I think that's a bit harsh. I don't know, Seb. I thought the first half, we were almost trying to walk it in a bit. I think there were a few chances where we're just like, come on, guys, just hit it, just go for it. And but the second half, it just looked a bit, maybe like Kerry said there, that we didn't really get out of second gear. But we did get that goal, and it was, I think, it was similar to the first goal. And you're watching, it's like, is he onside? And both of them were obviously Sonny, but obviously Sonny was setting up Maddison for the second. And anyway, talk us through the goal. It was a great finish by Maddison. Seb.
Well, it was, like you say, it was very, very similar to the first, because the first one was interception by Van der Ven. Second one was Højbjerg, I think, with the interception from the ball out from Fulham. And very quickly, Son gathers, plays in Maddison, and like you say, kind of look maybe is offside, but then you see Bassi on the side of the pitch, kind of playing everyone on. Nice play by Son and calm finish from Maddison. I felt after that, we're talking about kind of how it got stunted, if you like, was, I think, the biggest issue with the two hopefully minor injuries. Udogie, at that point, one thing that I noticed, and if anyone else kind of picked up on, so in the first half, Doggy was almost like the free man. He was running from his position that I guess you write down on paper as left back, but he was never really left back, running from that position into almost an attacking midfield space. When he went off, Højbjerg kind of took up the nominal left defensive position, if you like, but obviously didn't have that threat going forward. And not his game. I'm not criticising Højbjerg at all. I thought he played a very disciplined game in that position, which is probably what was needed at that point. But you lost that attacking thrust that a Doggy, just by being that man making those runs, gives you. And then additionally, you had Sarr come off, and I really felt, I'm really sorry to say, but I thought Skipp was terrible. Like not just he looked knackered, but like 5 minutes in, he looked the tiredest man on the pitch. And so we kind of lost attacking momentum, attacking thrust, and that kind of forward thinking that Udogie and Sarr give you. You know, they weren't like for like swaps in terms of position with Højbjerg and in terms of talent, I'm afraid, with Skipp.
Well, let's start. I thought Gibbo, the Richarlison, certainly first half was lively. I think second half there was as we said, where he tried to control it with his back, but. Of the positive, because it's not his natural position. He is much more suited to be the central striker, but with Son's finishing abilities, he's not going to start there unless Son's injured or is subbed off. So, what did you make of Richarlison's performance overall?
Matt, I thought he was busy. You know, I thought he was busy. I thought that was probably his best half of football, the first half, but this season. But that's not really a high bar.
Low bar, yeah.
I just don't feel like he's going to do anything. He sort of got the ball and he's playing out wide. I know it's not his natural position, but he didn't really seem to want to do a step over and beat his man. I'm not a big fan of Richarlison, mate, to be honest. But I thought he was lively. I thought he had a decent first half. I thought he got progressively worse as the second half went on. I just don't. We're not getting enough from him in that position. We're not getting goals. We're not really getting assists. And, you know, like I said, mate, he worked hard. He chased down. I'd just like a little bit more from somebody playing out, you know, in that position up there, bit of a goal threat or you know, or you know, either score goals yourself or create a bit more. And he doesn't do enough of either for me. So yeah, he worked hard, and can't really say a lot more than that, to be fair.
Well, he did get this. Go on, Jesus.
So I look at that team that started tonight, and I think that, okay, Porro's done well, Sarr has done well, Kulusevski has done well. They were bagging Kulusevski on commentary for not scoring enough goals, and he's actually got a couple this season. But it just felt like the three of them, actually, Sarr would be better off staying back because he's got the defensive awareness to do that. Porro would be better in Kulusevski's position because he can actually cross the ball and keep it wide. And Kulusevski might have been better in the 8. And to be fair to them, the three did switch quite a bit. I feel like for the first time today, I saw Tottenham actually move positions during the game. They're looking to see where their teammates are and filling the gap. So it's clear that they know what they need to do, and they all kind of know the roles involved. But at some point, it just feels like the chances are falling to the wrong people at the wrong time. Or a chance to cross the ball and you've got Sarr outside. Or a chance to shoot and you've got Sarr, who doesn't really want to. And from distance, you just wish that Kulusevski would pull the trigger or that Porro would pull the trigger. And that's the frustration. It's not that we're playing badly. We've clearly got a system that we want to play. We're clearly doing it. But you look at it and you think, hey, you know, if we had a proper left winger, it would you know, Richarlison would look less laboured, because we'd have someone who could actually try and do the things that Ange probably wants to see down there. Johnson isn't a proper left winger, so he can't do it either. And so, yes, the team looks much improved, clearly, but when it comes to performances, I mean, that first 15, 20 minutes at Luton, we were great. Outside of that, we've taken our chances. I think that's the biggest thing. We've got, you know, a goal scorer in Son, who's taken up the slack that Kane has left. And Maddison has chipped in with a few goals. I think it was the first one at Spurs tonight. So that was obviously good for him. But it just feels like we are like 85, 90% of learning the system, but the players still don't really fit it. And to be top of the league and to say that, it's great, but it is still, it's awkward. Watching Spurs is a bit awkward right now.
Yeah, well, look, Seb, do you agree with that?
I wouldn't kind of go that far, but I do understand what both Matt and she have said. I wouldn't say it's awkward. I would say that certainly there's been a little bit of luck involved over the last few games, and I would say definitely we're still learning the system, and we are coming from a place, particularly under the last manager, where it was at all-time low in terms of confidence, in terms of the way that we play the game. It was complete opposite to what Ange is trying to do. One thing that I would point out is I think Romero, particularly tonight, was fantastic. Ably backed up by Van de Ven, but I thought Romero was standout. In fact, I know they're always going to give it to Maddison. Certainly on Sky, that's who they gave the man the match to, and when they do that, they always support it with stats that he had the most touches in the box, most chances created. I get all that. However, you don't look at if they would have given it to Romero, they wouldn't have shown his shots in the box. Shots, you know what I mean? It's a different set of stats for a defender. I thought he was fantastic, and he is a big reason why we are able to make the odd mistake, able to give the ball away in quite dangerous areas. It happened a couple of times tonight. I think Porro gave it away once. Van de Ven, Vicario twice gave the ball away in dangerous positions. Pretty much every time, Romero was the one who kind of got back and tied it up. Van de Ven is rapid, is exactly what Romero needs next to him. But Romero was fantastic tonight. So we have to remember. I know we've talked about it a lot, and I know we've said it on YouTube's pods, whatever. This is very, very early days. What I would say is that when we discussed last season with Conte, the season that we were topping during COVID with Mourinho, it is very, very different to that. So we have to kind of draw we can compare if you like, but we have to see that even though things aren't 100% correct and we're not flying, and I don't think we think we're going to win the league, it is a complete turnaround from when we were top under those managers. Number one, we're playing attractive football. It's what everyone wants to see. Number two, there is a definite game plan, and that game plan is to attack teams and to punish their deficiencies and to work to our strengths. What the other managers did was to just hang on by the skin of your teeth. And there was nothing that we could really get behind as a fan base that we thought, what this is going to take us to a next level. I think we're all in agreement, and backing up what HG says is this is very, very early, and there is so much room for improvement. And those players are so young and so talented that when they get it, when they finally get it, even another 10% more, then we're up. We're going to be flying. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win the league. I'm not even necessarily at the moment saying we're going to get top four. There's good teams in this league. However, we seem to find a way in each game. And one of the things that I wanted to actually mention quick, going back to something HG said right at the start of the pod, was Fulham looked a little bit scared of us tonight, and we managed to deal with the fact that they had that lower block. If they had not been scared and had attacked us, I still feel like we had the tactic and the wherewithal and the skill within our players to then attack that tactic, if you like. And if teams come onto us, that's great with the pace and the width that we've got at the moment. So it's just looking good. But yeah, I back up what you all kind of say in that room for improvement.
Just some comments coming through here from Ange's post-match interviews. Sky saying that that's the most angry they've seen him. Hotspur Samir saying Ange, our second half was the worst of the season so far on the ball. Gibbo, you agree? I think that's encouraging that the manager's saying that.
Yeah, I do. I don't want to come on here and be negative, because we won and we're top of the league, and all the things that Seb said are right. But obviously, I'm just, if we all come on here and we're like, or everybody was, everything's great. Yeah, it wouldn't be as much fun, would it? But but I always want better. Even if my team was winning all the time and they were the best team in the league, that's just the way I am. That's how I look at football. If I was playing, or whether I'm I'm watching. You know, I'm always picking out the bits where we could have done that. We could have won 3-0 rather than 2-0. You know what I mean? Or when it's 4-1, we shouldn't have conceded. That was a sloppy goal. So that's how I am. But yeah, I can understand him saying that. I thought we were sloppy at times on the ball. And then I don't think the substitutions help. I think quite a few of them, as Seb said about Skipp, are sort of downgrades on the players you're bringing off. And like we brought Son and Maddison off, didn't we? Who were our two biggest threats going forward. And we do that quite a lot. And then I think that sort of kills any momentum we have of maybe pushing on to really kill the game. But yeah, I can understand what Ange's saying, but I totally agree with what Seb's saying, and sort of HG said that there is loads of room for improvement. Bissouma's a big miss for us, because I think even though Højbjerg had a good game, he doesn't have that sort of like that drive Bissouma has, and he's just a little bit quicker. He can take a man on and he can take the ball further up the pitch, and we never had that tonight. But at the end of the day, we've come through another game at home unscathed. Yeah, it could have been better, but who gives a fuck? We're top of the league.
Yeah, you talk about the home games. Like, we've had 4 now, right? And we've played 2, not decent teams, but 2 teams that want to attack us in Man United and Liverpool. And we've played 2 teams that didn't attack us at all in Sheffield United and Fulham. And we looked worse in the games that obviously against Sheffield United and Fulham. So there is clearly work to be done. The good thing is that Palace will undoubtedly attack us at home on Friday night under the lights. They will want to get going, which should help us. Chelsea, you'd think, would do the same. And then we've got Wolves, who, again, at home. So you're thinking that, huh?
They'll attack us, won't they?
You'd imagine so.
Yeah.
I mean, so things like I don't want to see Aston Villa attack us because they're clearly quite good and they're scoring lots of goals, but that will help us, right? We're getting used to these things. Yes, we've had some easy games against teams who are at the bottom end of the table, but they've also got Burnley, Bournemouth. They tried to play against us, and we do have the quality to win those games. We have better players. We've proved that. So it is now about understanding what we can do when teams do what Fulham do, because then they were quite happy to give us the flanks, and you try and beat us down the flanks. They've got decent fullbacks. Castagna and Robinson were probably 2 of their better players all night. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like the fact that we got over the line. Maybe we shouldn't care how, right? Maybe we shouldn't care that Calvin Bassey was the main reason we won tonight. We should be happy that we got the job done, because no team, Man City, don't win every game by outplaying their opponents. Okay, maybe they do. Sometimes they lose through outplaying their opponents, but they mostly outplay their opponents. And Spurs aren't there yet, but that's okay. None of us thought we would be there after 9 games. We all thought that we'd be 8th, 7th at this point. We'd have lost a couple of games. You got difficult going to Arsenal away. Like, you'd have thought there'd be 2 or 3 defeats in those 9 games. And yet we're unbeaten because we are quite solid at the back. Was it 8 goals in 9 games now? You're a bit, you're kind of confident that as much as Van der Ven and Romero are great, the fullbacks can defend in this system. Udogie got beat a couple of times tonight, but generally speaking, doesn't. Porro, to be fair, wasn't really ever playing fullback until the substitutions were made, because he seemed to be much higher up the pitch. But we have a system that actually does seem to function. We can get the ball, we can move it around, and now we've just got to be more creative with it and take more shots when the opportunity arrives, and don't try and walk it in as if we're peak Wenger. That we aren't there yet. At some point, it's about half chances, put your foot through the ball, try and wrong foot the keeper, and see what happens. We've had goals this season. We've seen goals, maybe not scored by Spurs, but we've seen goals that have gone in off deflections. Right? Obviously, the Arsenal had one against Man City 2 weeks ago, won them the game by someone taking a chance. We didn't really do that, and that's where I feel like Spurs probably need to improve.
Well, Seb, do you agree with that? This is, as we've discussed, the start of the Ange era, and he said all along, look, judge me on my second season. First season, there's always a drop off in performance. Perhaps we've seen that, but we certainly haven't with results. But these are encouraging signs that, like you said, a young team that will only get better once they've been playing under Ange for more time. So we should be optimistic, surely, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's nothing. These are just musings, if you like, with I guess a little bit of negativity. But as we've seen, as the comments have come in, Ange isn't happy. So therefore, what we're saying makes some sense. There was things to pick out, but particularly in the second half. However, you can caveat that by saying Emerson playing on the left, Gio coming on, Brennan Johnson unfit coming on. I know people said it should have started, but there is an argument that he hasn't played a minute of Premier League football for must be over a month. Veliz coming on, Son and Maddison. I think people are saying, they're not 100% fit. I think it's more to the point that they are absolutely crucial. If you can take them off on 80 minutes, as we've seen, take them off. We're playing in 4 days' time. It's probably the shortest gap between games that we're going to have, I think, until December. So take those players off, protect them, and move forward. It appears, I think, that Sarr was unwell before the game, so it's not an injury, just not 100%. So again, protect him. And everyone else comes through unscathed, we think. So, this is not a negative pod. Lots and lots of reasons to be very, very happy. Again, Vicario, who's pining for David Raya now, because that keeper, it pulled off 2 outstanding saves again, and he does it every game. There was also a chance at the end where I think we were a bit sloppy actually, but Emerson got that block in. Porro celebrates it like it's a goal. These are things that you love to see. We want that clean sheet. Fulham were a little bit sloppy themselves with some of the chances, but overall, this is reasons to be cheerful and a positive podcast.
Dreamland, we are in. I mean, we are in dreamland, right? We're just dreaming of how good we can be because we're not there right now.
Well, just on that HG, the triple sub that Seb referred to. So we obviously took off Richarlison, Maddison, and Son in one go, bringing on Veliz, Johnson, and Lo Celso, and it did coincide with probably our worst period of the game. There was a drop off where Fulham did have chances, and you never know if they get one with 5-10 minutes ago. We had 7 minutes of added time today. They could very easily have equalised had they got the goal. And there was the same, I think, from Jimenez. I think it was sort of going to the side, which was crucial because that was around 80 minutes. I think that one.
I have no issue with making the subs. It is weird because we make the subs up between 75 and 80 minutes usually, right? And historically you're thinking 15 minutes, but then we played 7 minutes extra tonight, which I don't think any of us really expected. The game was basically done and dusted, but suddenly 20 minutes of a game feels a lot more. It's not a lot more, but it does feel like a significant amount. So I think I was a little bit disappointed. I said it in the show we did on Friday that I wanted to see Brian Hill play a little bit when we were playing Fulham at home. Johnson out of position down the left. Why not give Brian a game? Why not give him 20 minutes to run a tired defense? That was something that I would have liked. I mean, I can't knock it because we won the game, right? But Veliz for Son makes sense. Richarlison's not going to move central, so Veliz, fine, bring him on. Maddison, Lo Celso, well, we saw pre-season Lo Celso played that role when Maddison wasn't playing, so that makes sense. But I still want to see Spurs improve down the wings. We haven't really got that. If we manage, Perisic has been our best winger all season, right? And he got injured, a month ago, 5 weeks ago? But he's still been our most effective winger all season. Kulusevski can do it and does moments where you think, wow, what a player. But the decision-making isn't there in our front four, really. Lo Celso came on, made a few weird passes, played a few bad decisions. They're getting into good positions. It's just, can we make those decisions in the correct way? And Spurs haven't done that, really. So I would have loved to have seen Brian Hill come on for that 20 minutes. I think Spurs would have looked better going forward. And that's not to say that Brennan Johnson looked bad. It's just that I never saw him play left wing for Forest. He was either a right winger or maybe up front by himself. If you look at the highlights of Brendan Johnson on YouTube, you see him score a lot of goals with either foot. So you could think maybe there's a future as the centre forward, but he's been bought to play right wing. I'm convinced of it. So when you see Brian Hill sitting there on the bench, kind of biting his nails while James Maddison's twiddling his fingers, it's a shame that he couldn't get on. Obviously he played well at Palace last season. Maybe he'll get some minutes on Friday night, but I do think that Spurs, that's a relatively easy decision to make. If you're always going to bring 3 subs on at 75 minutes, why not? Like, why not put people in their best position?
Mm. You agree with that, Gibbo? Or were you okay with the subs, or do you think, like HG said, that we could have seen a bit of difference now that Hill's back?
I didn't expect. I thought he'd bring Johnson on, obviously, because when he was fit, when we first signed him, he brought him straight in, didn't he? But yeah, I mean, Lo Celso, I'd like to see him get some minutes. I agree with HG. There was some dodgy passes, but a few times he sort of ran with the ball and drove us forward. I totally agree about the decision making. Me and my son were sat here watching it, and we said about Kulusevski. Some of the things he did tonight were brilliant, but then it's just that area around the box where that final pass, or he doesn't have a shot when he should have a shot, just really frustrating. But you know, the subs don't really improve us. But just on one thing, HG, you said about he wasn't going to put Richarlison as number 9 when Son went off. Why do you think that is? Because obviously Richarlison's best place is the centre forward, isn't it? For him, I think. But do you think Ange doesn't see that in him anymore? Like you and Seb, do you both think that he doesn't see that because he's brought Valise on and took Richarlison off?
I personally, I think Richarlison's kind of on borrowed time a little bit. You know, after what happened, like he's not played that well for Spurs. He's out there because others haven't been fully fit. You don't know how long he's going to stay there. And yeah, like maybe we're seeing an indication that if Son's not the main striker, actually Ange does see Valise as the main backup and not Richarlison. Like Richarlison will come in handy. There were going to be moments this season where we'll need a more physical threat. Maybe we'll have to go 4-4-2. And to be fair, against Sheffield United, Richarlison played a massive part in that turnaround. So it's just that when you pay that much money for him, you kind of hope he's going to be a bit more than a bit part, maybe as a sub player. So it's rough, but I think I wouldn't be surprised to see. I've said this before on shows. I wouldn't be surprised to see Richarlison not be at the club next year.
Wow. So Seb, do you agree with that? Well, who do you think we could get in? Because I think Ange does. Now we've got our new Johan Clubber Langer. Is Langer, yeah. He's our new technical director, is it? Is that his official title? I'm not sure what the title was, or director of football, or one of those titles. We will be doing some business in January.
Wait, can I just this comment from John? Sorry, Seb, but John, we said all this earlier. You missed it. Please rewind when the video is done and watch it all. We said all of this. We know what you're telling us. Thank you so much. But we know we're at the beginning.
We did cover it.
It's just we did kind of cover it. But thanks for your comment. Always welcome, and thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do I think will get in? Well, I hope Don Fabio's still got his book, because I think the signings we've made since early 2022 have been very, very good. I think I hate the phrase winning the transfer windows and all that, but you have to say, when you look at the team that's out tonight and how those players have come in instantly, it is instant, as well as the manager, and changed things around, and added, Kulusevski and Bentancur to that. Obviously Porro and the ones that were signed from earlier windows. I don't know. Obviously, the rumours are Gift Orban, and I've forgotten the name of the other young lad. HG will probably tell me. I can't even think now. Where there's very strong rumours. I think he's only like 19 or 20, but again, the next big thing. I think we definitely will go for a striker, but it's hard now, because I think any striker that comes in, you're not signing there's no other player like Harry Kane, so we're not signing some kind of Kane replacement. But the striker that comes in has got to be flexible, I think, to play those roles. It's why, to play those different roles. I mean, that's why we signed Richarlison, because he can play across the 3 forward roles. When we had Harry Kane, he's not. He doesn't need Kane to be injured to get on the pitch. When you've got Son and you've got Richarlison, and then you've got Valise, you don't necessarily want to sign a player that means Valise then doesn't get a look in for a year. So you have to be that striker that comes in has got to be super flexible to kind of play across the 3 lines. Then you're asking yourself, well, if we're signing a striker like that, are we signing someone who maybe gets 10 to 15 goals a season, like Richarlison? Are we just signing another Richarlison? So it's a really tricky tricky role and a tricky purchase that we're going to have to make. If you're going to sign an out-and-out number 9, then the chances are he's not going to play very much.
And I still feel like Richarlison's best position in this system is to be the number 9. He's just not as good as Son at finishing, and Valise has been bought by the manager, so he's clearly getting those minutes. And then you look at it, and Fulham are the perfect example. Like, you look at their strikers tonight, Vinicius doesn't really cut it in the Premier League. Raul Jimenez is 30 something now, probably doesn't have too much longer. And the whole Marco Silva thing, Richarlison would have been great for Fulham tonight. I've no doubt about that. He'd have been wonderful for Fulham tonight. So again, I'm happy that we have him because he's making that bridge. He's allowing Valise time to get used to the game. So again, Valise is 20? He's not old. He needs to get used to European football, and Richarlison is enabling that to happen. But I do think that if you look at the teams that Ange has created in Celtic and in Japan, and someone like Richarlison, if he's not playing centre forward, he's not really going to be playing that often. He's just he's the Marouane Fellaini who comes on when you need a goal, right? That's kind of his role at Spurs, sadly.
Yeah, Gibbo, I did think that actually about the Marco Silva connection, because he's signing for Watford and then again signing for Everton. So will he go for a triple whammy and get him over to Fulham, and we could get, I know, say Paulinho or a fair bit of money for who from that Fulham team? Do you think anyone? Said shaking his head. Anyone in that team?
No, I don't like Paulinho, and I don't get it. I know he's physical. He should have been booked very early on tonight. The referee was very lenient on Fulham. I think they had 15 fouls. We had 10. Our first foul bomb was Højbjerg pulling out of a challenge. And all right, it probably was a yellow card, but only as much as the Paulinho one was. No, Fulham. I like Marco Silva and I like the way he plays football. So I'm not knocking the team, but in terms of individual talent, there's no one that I would really say that I would have in the Tottenham squad. Someone said, I saw a comment that said Fulham's bench is stronger than ours tonight or something like that. It's just rubbish.
It won't be.
It won't be. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, how is he still stealing a living in the Premier League? It's insane. But Gibbo, what about you? Anyone there?
Mate, I think 1-2. We're better than them all over the park, weren't we? I've seen Paulinho. Is it Paulinho? What Paulinho? Well, I can't say it, but I have seen him have better games than that. I think he is a fairly decent player, to be fair. I don't think he was that great tonight. He put in a lot of challenges, didn't he? But I've seen him sort of get on the ball more and do more in other games. But would I have him over Bissouma? I'm not sure. I don't think I would. I think Bissouma's a better player.
Who's better tonight, Paulinho or Højbjerg?
I think I'd say probably Højbjerg, maybe when he got on the ball. But I thought he did make a lot of challenges tonight that I know a lot of them were fouls, but he puts a tackle in, doesn't he? Paulinho, he puts some challenge in.
Paulinho.
But yeah, I wouldn't have it. I don't think they have got anyone who get in our team really.
Well,
I would take him. I really would, right? Because there are going to be times when you need to have a defensive midfielder like Paulinho, and Højbjerg isn't really that, and Skipp isn't really that. And so, if you think that Bissouma and Bentancur would be enough, that's great. But I wouldn't mind having a more defensive midfielder in there. I know Paulinho's probably got his sights set in bigger clubs, right? Bayern wanted him in the summer; they may well come back in for him. But I just think that he may not play every game for Spurs. But if you're looking at midfield options, and you can say your midfield options are Bissouma, Bentancur, Paulinho, Sarr, and then maybe another attacking midfielder to go alongside Maddison, because there's also may not stay. That seems a quality setup. And you could put Paulinho as the 6 and you could move Bissouma further forward. Or you could play with 2 6s and have them, it just gives you more options. And when I see, Pape Sarr tonight was great as a midfielder, but most of his best work was done defensively. Same with Richarlison. I just feel that if that's the situation, maybe an actual true defensive midfielder would come in handy, because Bentancur can do what Bissouma can do. He's better on the half turn than Højbjerg is. Sarr is better on the half turn. Even Udogie tonight, I thought was really good on the half turn when he got the ball. It fizzed into him and he was able to control it and keep the midfielders away from him. So there are improvements to be made in midfield, and we don't have a defensive midfielder like Paulinho. And I kind of would like one, because in certain games you're going to need it.
Let's get him in. Go on, Rishi. Off you go to Fulham. Play for your mate Marco Silva, and we'll get Palhinha in. What about Pereira? I thought Andreas Pereira, he is Brazilian, isn't he? Yeah, so he's talking Portuguese. He was brought off second half, but he's all right.
He wouldn't get nowhere near. I can't see. He wouldn't. I don't think he'd get in our team, mate. I don't know what the other guys think, but he's not the standard that we want to be looking at.
Because he was at United. Was he at United before?
He was at United, yeah.
He wouldn't get in United at the minute either, and they're woeful.
The thing is, there is a spot available for a creative midfielder, right? If Lo Celso, he's got a year and a half left on his deal. If he doesn't really do anything in for the rest of this season, which I'm sure he'll stay at Spurs, next summer he'll be looking to go back to Spain, and I'm sure Spurs will be like, okay, thanks, that it works for everyone. So then there will be a spot, and you can't help but think about Eberici Eze would be a perfect fit for that kind of thing. And we do, I think Spurs are looking to sign the better homegrown players, because we're going to have an issue. I think we all think that Skipp is only really hanging around because he has that, because he counts as homegrown and club grown. There are improvements to be made, and they probably won't happen in January, because those teams will need those players for the rest of the season. But next summer, if Spurs make the Champions League, and when you start to see what Ange is doing, and players will recognise that we're playing with the ball, and that as he is a London lad, maybe he doesn't want to go up to Manchester. I mean, it feels like Spurs could be an option for him. And again, he's not going to play every week because we have Maddison, but we saw tonight the drop-off when subs are made is quite a lot, and we need to have those players that can do it.
One thing actually that I didn't mention, I think, Gibbo, you mentioned about Højbjerg's booking. He got it for clouting Williams, so I'll give him that. He gets man of the match just for that one. But did you see that the crowd booing him? And it did, someone commented, and it did always make him play better, I thought. I said, I thought he was a good outlet for Fulham tonight.
Yeah, he's a good player, isn't he? Technical player. But yeah, I kind of wish they'd stop, really, because he did seem to be good on the ball whenever they boo. But good old Spurs. Don't give up a grudge. I completely agree with it. That guy's are we allowed to swear? I think, Gibbo, you swore already, didn't you?
Yeah, I've sworn already, mate. Don't worry.
William's a twat.
Oh, it's only a twat. I mean, Danny Dyer said twat on daytime TV. Come on, you can do better than that. Come on. Anyway, but yeah, no, I agree on that one. But yeah, we've been going for almost an hour now. 155 people watching, so please do give us a like. I think it did come up in the comments as well, Gibbo, that the subs were made with Friday in mind. So looking ahead to that game, obviously we've been talking about Eze. How do you think that game will go? Who's your sort of standout player for Palace?
Well, I think Eze and Elise are their two best players, aren't they? But they're not fit, are they?
I think they're both crooked. Yeah, I think.
They've been struggling. I think I see Will Hughes. I think I put it in our group HG, didn't I? That Will Hughes is playing for Palace at the moment. He's only 27, by the way, or 28. I thought he'd be in his 30s. He feels like he's been around for ages. Yeah.
Really? I would have said he's in his 30s. Yeah.
Yeah. Gay, Anderson. I quite like Anderson. I wouldn't have minded him at Spurs. I wouldn't mind him coming in and being like a backup to our centre backs. But yeah, I mean, we got to be looking there the way they're struggling with injuries. They're not playing great, are they? We got to be looking at going there really and getting something, a draw at the very least. I do quite fancy us to get something. If we go, we should be able to go strong. We made those changes, so there's nobody really who worries me. Just they've got players like AU, haven't they? And you think, oh God, do we, go there, struggle, and then someone like Jordan AU nicks one near the end. Massively embarrassing, but yeah. Now they've got no real standout players. With Elise and Eze being out, they would be their two biggest threats, I believe. But thankfully, they won't be playing.
It's similar to Fulham. Like from set pieces, they can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But I didn't see much from Fulham. And outside of us being sloppy, I didn't see much from Fulham going forward either. Like both sides actually kind of relied on other teams' mistakes to actually get their good chances. It's just that we took ours. But I think that Palace, like again, like it's never easy to go to Palace and win, but we actually do it relatively frequently. We go there and we get a result. We beat them 4-0 last season, mostly thanks to Kane. We've won 1-0 a couple of. I remember Eriksen scoring a rocket from long distance. I remember Kane scoring a header. We tend to get results there.
Dele Alli won the goal.
There you go, right? So I just feel that Palace will, despite whoever they play, they will probably come at us. I don't feel like Roy will say our best way of winning this game is to be defensive. I don't think Palace really do that at home. So it's a good chance for us, but like you hope that with 10 games until the Chelsea game after it, 10 days, sorry, like we are going to go full blast. We have to, right? Bissouma will come in. I saw the comment from John early on about, is Bissouma going to play because we don't want him to get booked and miss the Chelsea game? He's going to play. And we have to hope that he's been smart. He'll be smarter than he has been so far. But Bissouma will play, almost certainly. We are a better team with him in the side. You can hope that maybe Bentancur might make the bench, although I don't see that. So it's just, I don't know. But I think that Palace, they will go at us in the best way they can, but they don't have that player like they had in Zaha, who I never really rated anyway. But they don't have that player who can really do things by himself. And if Spurs can control it, which we've done that so far this season, we have controlled games. Even Arsenal, we controlled large portions of that. If we can do it at Palace, you would hope that we would create enough chances to win the game.
So that's a good point actually that HG made, that Bentancur is back in full training now. It is great news because obviously we've got AFCON coming up in January, so him returning and hitting the form that you would hope after the ACL injury, which can ruin a career. I think it's the recovery has improved and the treatment has improved in the last few years, but the ACL is a serious injury, and players have come back and not been the same. So the hope is that Bentancur does come back, because I do think he fits really well with Angeball.
Yes, I do. It's going to be interesting to see because I really like Sarr. But as you say, be going to the AFCON. I don't think it's a lot of people saying Bentancur will just come straight in for Sarr when he's fit. I don't know if I necessarily see that. I think there'll be some rotation round. Sarr's kind of, I've said it before, said it a lot actually, that he reminds me of Patrick Vieira every time I watch him. I think he's just like a Vieira clone. His kind of pace. It was stride more than his pace kind of across the pitch. The way he runs with the ball, the way he runs when he hasn't got the ball just reminds me of Vieira. You don't want Bentancur to come in and stifle a player. It's a bit like what we said about Veliz if we sign a striker. We've got young players that we need to take care of. I'm sure there'll be some rotation, but I don't think it's a direct swap and Sarr just sits on the bench for the rest of the season if Bentancur's fit. But both very, very, very good players, and it will be great to have Bentancur back because he does offer something that a little bit different. One of the things that you could perhaps pick out with the midfield at the moment is lack of goals. Not including Maddison in that, obviously, but Bentancur, as we know, can find the net and links up well with Kulusevski and others. So. No one knows, I guess, until he comes back what that fitness level is going to be. I doubt very much he's going to hit the ground running. I probably expect him to play a couple of half an hours, couple of 20 minutes at least, maybe even going into December. If he is in full training now, I would be doubtful that he'd start. Obviously, against Palace, I think that's a complete no-no, not being even on the bench. Can't see it against Chelsea. Too big a game. So then maybe we look towards, end of November, start of December before we really see him.
And the thing is, because our midfielders, as much as Højbjerg and Bentancur haven't played much this season, they were our best pairing for a very long time, and they work really well together. So if you're planning things, you might think, hey, Bissouma, we need to get that booking out the way. Have him booked against Chelsea so he misses the Wolves game. Wolves game is second week of November. maybe Højbjerg and Sarr would be good enough for that one. Bentancur could be on the bench by that. And you're right, like we want to ease him back in. We don't want a situation where like we're forced to, but we won't have that unless Højbjerg is out and Sarr is out. We probably won't be forced to rush him back early. So you hope that, but I think that, I mean, the Villa game is, I think, the first one after the next break. Villa at home, if he's ready, I could see that being maybe the one that he would come. Because I do think that, like, I love Sarr, like you do, Seb, but I think Bentancur is a better player. And if he's anything like we saw before his injury, he should be in the side over. You're still nervous about the defensive contribution that Sarr gives, because he does. Right, like he's not the 8 that we all kind of think we're going to see, but he's a very good defensive 6, and he allows Porro to go forward and be that 8. So it's horses and courses. Like we've got so many. I do think we've got a lot of good players, and if we get everyone fit and they all learn the system and they all decide where they're going to be at every times, and then we will be a force. But it's a nice problem to have. Like, you know, when are we going to get our players back and we don't have to rush them back?
And I don't think, like, obviously you said, Seb, about if Bentancur comes back in, it will stifle, you know, it might stifle Sarr's progress. I think if Ange rates you, I think you'll get game time. And I think he'll, you know, I think he'll still get plenty of game time. I don't think it will be the like Conte scenario where it's like, no, this is what I play. And Ange obviously rates Sarr, so I don't think that will happen. But it, like you said, HG, it'll be great to actually, you know, bring a player on and not weaken the team, because sometimes we make subs because we need to make a sub and it weakens the team, doesn't it? Whereas if you got Bentancur, Sarr fighting for places, you swap one of them with each other.
Yeah,
there's not a massive drop off.
Sarr comes off tonight and we stick Bentancur on and we're all thinking, great. Højbjerg and Bentancur for the last half an hour, brilliant. It's just we're not there yet, but it would have been amazing to have, and it will be amazing to have. But we haven't said this for a while. We are top of the league.
Top of the league. Top of the league.
Yeah. And to all the fans of other teams watching, we know we're not good yet, and we're still top of the league.
We're clear as well. There's none of this joint top bullshit that we get from Gooners. We're actually 2 points
clear Friday night. It's coming. It's going to happen. I've never seen that. Like, Spurs have been a Premier League team my whole life, a top division team my whole life. I can't remember Spurs ever even having the chance. We've been top of the league around this time, but not clear. Like 5 points clear after 10 games. I mean, granted, we'll have played 10, no one else has. But, you know, Man United have got Man City that week. You think it'll look good. I mean, people will say we're bottlers, I'm sure. But to have the opportunity Friday night, we've got to take it. We've got to take it.
We'll get accused of bottling the league now, won't we? Now we're top after 9 games if we don't win it.
I will also say if we win the next 2, Palace and Chelsea, am I right in thinking there's an international break then as well after the Chelsea games?
I think Wolves is after Chelsea and then the break. Yeah.
Okay, so I will say if we take 7 points from the next 9 games, then people will start talking about a title. They just will. We will be a third of the way through the season, pretty much. We've played some big teams. We would have played some decent teams away, big teams at home. If we can come out the next 3 games, maybe 9, maybe not. Maybe if we win all 3, then I think you say Spurs are on a hell of a run. And I said it before. It's momentum. I said it right at the start of the season that I thought second down was up for grabs. Because I saw last year with Arsenal, and look, I hate saying it, Arsenal are a good team, but momentum is massive. We saw it with Leicester, saw it with Arsenal last year, I've seen it with other teams. If you can build that momentum, you just keep riding the crest of a wave, it can take you a long way. And if you suddenly get clear, as Arsenal did last year, I know they didn't get over the line, but if you suddenly get clear, if you build up a bit of a gap, as HG said, you know, whether it's 5 points, 3 points, whatever, it's huge. You know, really, really exciting time. And I think we keep waiting for the slip, and no doubt there will be some kind of slip. I agree. We have got a heck of a December, Daniel. But you got to be up there in the first place. You want to be up there to get shot down. You know, that's as simple as that. I'd rather be where we are now than where I think, as HG said, where we thought we'd be, which is around 7th, 8th, 9th. we're so. The other thing is get rid of the talk of the title. We're running clear in for top four. Aston Villa, that we're 4 points ahead of them. Newcastle, we're 6 points ahead of them. Those are teams that will be challenging this year. I've got no doubt about it. Villa, Brighton, Newcastle. You can put them in with Liverpool, Arsenal, us. And then obviously you've got Chelsea and United, which are a little bit up and down. So it's going to be close.
8 points ahead of United. 8 points ahead of United already. Chelsea got 12 points. We got 23. So you know what I mean? We've got like a massive lead over them at the minute.
I think we take Villa as an example, right? I mean, Emery's been there a year. They're a very good side, and in the games they've lost, I think, to Liverpool. They've lost against good teams. They lost at Newcastle, right? So Villa will be there or thereabouts. I didn't think they were amazing against West Ham, and they scored 4. They took their chances, and they didn't concede many. So I have no doubt that Villa will be there. The Conference League won't really affect them because they can rotate a bunch of players into that, just like West Ham did last year. Like it's not the kind of competition where you need to play all your best players all the time. I do think Villa will be there or thereabouts, and I'm more worried about them. I'm worried about Newcastle. But again, Spurs are getting results without playing that well. There are, I think, quite a few teams that have played better football than Spurs this season. And so for us to be ahead of them is outrageous. Because do
you think some teams are overcomplicating how they play? I've watched quite a lot of football, probably more football this season because I'm enjoying watching Spurs. So I'm quite able to kind of watch other teams rather than thinking like, oh God, I'm not watching Spurs and I can't bother to watch anything else. I feel like some teams, Chelsea's one, whether that's just new players or whatever. And there's been some others, certainly Manchester United, seem to just be overcomplicating it. And do you think Spurs are having the success that they're having because actually they're playing what is, I don't want to say a simple brand of football, but it's a very clear brand of football. They don't seem to be overcomplicating anything. And I've said it in pods before about making your own luck. And that, again, that's a simplification. But if everyone knows exactly what they're going to do on the pitch, the chances of it working are surely higher than if you play some kind of complicated brand of, I don't know, even Manchester City, I say sometimes overcomplicate it for the sake of overcomplicating it. So how far is that going to get us if we stick with the very clear message that Angie's giving? That was a lot of questions in one.
Is it rhetorical? Look, I'm with you there, and I'll let HG or Gibbo to reply. But with regards to our form and other teams, there's not that many that scare me. Like I watched Arsenal, Man City, obviously the two sort of front runners for the league, like they were last season. It was a terrible game. Like I said, it went off the geezer's face, and it was really, really, really poor. Like the quality, there was no intensity. So why not? Like again, we're gonna have bumps in the road, but why can't we enjoy it while we're going? Sorry, go on, actually.
No, I mean, I think that the biggest reason why Spurs are where they are is the fact that Ange has got the team understanding what he wants. Yes, we've got good players, right? We had good players last season. Nothing's really changed in that area. Maddison has been a massive improvement, but I still think that the biggest reason is Ange. The way he's communicated, like Pochettino has some very good players at Chelsea, but it's taken him 10 games to get them kind of going. And even then, you don't really know how they're going to play. You just look at their midfield too, and you think, okay, Caicedo and Enzo could work well together, and Gallagher might be the best third. But outside of that, you wonder, like they're attacking, their wingers. Who are the best two they have? They don't really have a striker. Like Sterling's playing well. So you just think, you look at those teams, like Villa have gone from average mid-table to very good very quickly. Spurs have gone from average mid-table under what we were last season really to good to very good very quickly. I don't think we're as good as what Villa are. But Arsenal are worse than they were. I believe that. I think Arsenal aren't playing the football anywhere near to the same standard that they did last season. Man City have lost a bunch of players. Yes, they've bought Kovacic, but Gundogan was quality, was my favourite City player. So it'll be tough to replace. So I think it's okay to think that Man City might take a bit of time before they really get going. Again, they've been without De Bruyne and Rodri for the last few games, which has affected them. So I think Liverpool, weirdly, have looked pretty good. And Liverpool would be the ones that I'd be thinking, they've had some tough games. They've been away from home. They went to Newcastle and won. I think Liverpool right now, I'd be looking at them as being probably the favourites because they are playing good football, but they're going to lose Andy Robertson for 3 months. And then you just wonder. But at this level, I firmly believe it's about the systems that the managers put in place. Lots of teams in the Premier League have good players because lots of teams can afford good players, right? You can have like a Newcastle and a Villa signing players that wouldn't have gone there before, but they go there now because they'll get paid a crap ton of money. And it's good for the league, but it just means that everyone can take points off of everyone else. And we've won 7 out of 9. Like, people aren't taking points off us. And flat track bully or not, those results will get us where we want to be.
Well, on that, we think we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes. So we look to wrap up. Please do. There's 139 people watching. Please do give us a like if you've enjoyed what you've watched. Anything else to add, gents, before we wrap up?
Not from me, mate. Just like, obviously, really pleased that we're top of the league, and reiterate what the boys said earlier. It can still get better, and that's brilliant, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, remember this sort of time last year when we were top of the league under Conte, and I was saying this isn't sustainable playing this way. It's all going to come crashing down. Whereas now we're top of the league and we're going, this can get better. There's still more to come. So, all good.
Wednesday's show should be a good one, right? Because we'll be talking about Palace and we'll be dreaming again. And then on Friday, obviously, after the Palace game, we'll have another show like this where we talk about what happened, and hopefully we'll be disappointed that we didn't win by 5 again. Like, it's a great place to be. But yeah, Spurs, this could be a really good week for us. And I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited to see what happens.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, as HG has just said, do look out for the Wednesday show. That will be, is that from you, Gibbo? Who's doing the Wednesday show? I should know.
I think we're still in the process of sorting it out, but it'll probably be me, maybe Craig. I think Stu Gallup's on, so I think we'll just, maybe one more. If we can't, it'll just be the 3 of us. But like HG said, we'll be in a place where we're bigging us up, ready to win another game, hopefully.
Just relaxing at the top of the tree, looking down at everyone else. Like, that's us. We are at the top of the tree, and that people will take pot shots. It's great to be there.
Yeah, and Caller will be hosting the Friday show, I believe. Am I right with that one, at least?
It should be, mate, if he can get his kids off to bed, or he doesn't have any other dramas.
Cool.
Well, I mean, it's because it's after the game. It'll be a late one. I imagine Caller will be fine, but I think with Caller, it's more he has to get up for work the next morning. But we'll have a bunch of people. Probably a couple of the Aussies will be on. Friday night will be a great show because we'll win again.
Yeah.
5 points clear. 5 points clear. Gibbo, thanks for joining, mate.
No problem, mate. Glad to be on. Always good to come on after a win, isn't it? But yeah, I haven't been on for a while, so thanks for having me on, mate.
Always, mate. HG, thanks for joining.
Yeah, no problem. I can't wait to wear my Spurs stuff to school tomorrow. Top of the league. All the kids know it. Like, it's great. They know nothing else about me, but they'll talk to me in English about football. And it's nice that I can. The last season it was hell, but this season I will walk like, king of a bunch of 11-year-olds. But still, it should be fun. So
can you wear it, like, as a teacher? Can you wear like a football shirt?
Yeah, you can wear pretty much what you want. It's not like England. Yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't wear that many football stuff, but like, I mean, I wore an England top today, but it's, I'm an English teacher. They have to talk to me in English, so like I can get away with it. I probably should be a bit more boring and simple t-shirts from H&M or whatever. But yeah, the kids will talk to me, and that's my job. They have to talk to me. So if football is the reason, brilliant. What are you going to go with then tomorrow? It's going to be a pony one, Under Armour. So I bought. I think it might be this season's training top. I bought that this week, but I don't really want to have Getty here on the front at school. So it might be the green away kit from a couple of seasons ago with the pink bits down the side. I might wear that, but I mean, I've got a Spurs hoodie, so that will be on.
Just wear that, mate.
There's always something Spurs. I can get it in there. So sometimes it's not subtle like this. Seb, thank you for joining, mate.
No, thanks for having me. I hope my third world internet held up, and my lovely new microphone meant that you got me in full stereo sound. So fingers crossed it all went okay.
It was all good, man. A few hiccups, but just like Spurs, we got there in the end. And so this also do listen out for the review of the Palace game for audio people. Audio people, does that even make sense? This is going out as a podcast, and Franco will be reviewing what we hope will be a win over Palace on the weekend. And so yeah, and as ever, keep the faith. Top of the league. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you San Antonio Spurs.
Come on, Spurs.